stories about Dad, and I wanted to say thank you so much for coming and paying tribute to my father in this way, a way that he would enjoy. So here we go. Traditional sense of religion. His religion was being smart and intelligent and being a contribution to the world. His religion was kindness to other people and to telling great stories and supporting and loving his friends and his family. While Dad worked with some of the greatest minds in the world, he wasn't that flashy. He did things less formal. He loved things that were casual and light and things that were fun. And he read more books than anybody that I know. And he was always a good storyteller. And he always had a good joke. And he always had a good laugh to give you. And that's why we've invited you here tonight to be a part of Dad's Way, to have an informal gathering of beautiful people to share a story, to wear a hat, to have a drink, and hopefully to stick around and sing a song. And that's exactly how our dad would have liked it to be. Dad was one of the leading minds of our time. In many ways, his wisdom was far ahead of his time. He was an internationally recognized top management advisor on anti-corruption programs and social responsibility for the world. A lot of people don't know what it was that my father had accomplished in his lifetime. But we traveled all over the world with my dad's work, but Newfoundland was always a place we called home. Organizations that he worked for included the University of Botswana, Lesotho and Swaziland, the Canadian Universities Services Organization, CUSO, the Prime Minister of Canada, Lester Pearson's office. He also worked for CEDA, established for better assisting people in poverty around the world. These postings took us to Africa, the Fijian Islands, Thailand, and many other destinations. And Dad's role was to help countries in need and to make the world a better place. That's who he was. With his wealth of international experience, he went on to work at the United Nations in New York City. Dad was a lead author of the United Nations anti-corruption policies and helped to establish its first investigations division on integrity management programs. He was also the first United Nations global senior investigator and developed many new UN policies and procedures for the UN. Dad's national assignments overall included work in 14 countries, mostly to support government performance and improvement programs sponsored by bilateral donor agencies and the United Nations. After each international assignment, we would always head back to Newfoundland and settle in again. Dad was instrumental in starting Newfoundland's Public Service Commission, and when he completed his term at the United Nations, he returned back to become the chairman of the Public Service Commission of Newfoundland and Labrador, and he oversaw some 13,000 public servants in our province. And I would like to acknowledge my dad for doing that. From there, he went to work at Memorial University of Newfoundland, and at the same time, he continued as a member of the United Nations Association and served as its national vice president, and he supervised the St. John's Newfoundland Student Model UN program for 10 years. That helped over 2,000 people in Canada understand the inner workings of the United Nations and how to make our world a global success and a better place to live. So I think they may have asked him to retire from the university because every day he used to bring his dog to work, and I don't think it was allowed. In 2001, when Bob retired from his post as Channing Chair of Public Policy at Memorial University, his lifelong contribution to the people of the world was 30 years of total public service. And when I explained this to my friend Bonnie yesterday, she said, "Oh my God, Tina, no wonder your father drank." Next page. While Dad was not perfect by any means, I asked you to think of the indiscretions in Dad's life as you would your own. Turn temptations and struggles, our self-sabotage and our egos into something great. For all we have is the gift of experience to show us who we really are, the dark and the light, the good and the bad, the highs and the lows. Each one our place of growth, a place of forgiveness, and a place of great learning. So Dad would not judge himself and he wouldn't judge you, but rather he would embrace all of who you are and take your broken wings and learn to fly. So Dad has been a role model for many, and for his children he's been an undeniable force. Together with my mom Sonia, they built a life for us that every kid would wish for. We saw the world, we learned about fairness and connection and how to think higher than things like hate and prejudice and lack. We were taught to be creative and to be free thinkers and to do exactly what we love to do, and that's what we did. If we can do anything for our children, it's to give them the freedom and the foundation to follow their dreams, and this is what Bob and Sonia did for us. My father said that enlightenment is a man leaving his self-caused immaturity, and this is what we strive for. Today, Dad carries on his family legacy with my brother Robert, Maria, Johnny, and myself, as well as his grandchildren who will miss him dearly, Megan, Nick, young Sonia, Ben, and Angelina. Someone tell me a joke, for God's sake. Thanks. I admire Angelina and Ben and the rest of the grandchildren so much because they are of my father, and he's within them, and carry him with you everywhere and see him in the sunsets and the trees and the water, and especially in the laughter, because that's where he was. I had the pleasure of being with my dad when he passed away, and I lay my head on his chest as his last heartbeats came. I gently listened as he made his way to the other side. He was my mentor, he was my guide, and he was the first man that I ever loved. And he will always be that for me. Next page. Please. So, to all of Dad's relatives and to his great friends, rather than be sad and feel bad tonight, take the time to understand the fabric of our lives and see it as a profound privilege. Look to the beauty of it all and know that your tears are to be celebrated because he touched you so. Take solace in one of Dad's favorite expressions, that this is all part of life's rich pattern, and so it is. Please join me in raising a toast and your glass to my dad, Bob Olivero. So, how we'd like the evening to go is, if you have a story, we'd love to hear a story, and we have an entire room full of musicians here that we would absolutely love to hear you play. So it's an informal thing. We would like you to stay. We would like you to tell us stories. We would like you to have fun. And I can't thank you enough from the bottom of my heart for celebrating my dad's life with us. Thank you.
If there's anyone else who'd like to say something,